looking at this, and it looks more like some kind of clay thing than metal. And I think there's a couple of reasons, but I think the major reason is that there's not enough contrast in here yet, and that I need to kill back more of the red and go colder. So here I've still got this. Tell you what, I should just make that a little more neutral. Let's see, it's a green now, so to make it more neutral, I'd have to put a red in it. And I am already working with Quin Burnt Scarlet. Well, gee, let's just use that. I'm not going to put a lot of Quin Burnt Scarlet in here, just a little at a time. I want it to be a little less green. Well, that's still not less green enough, is it? All right, there, that should do it, yeah. So that's really a dull olive. Okay, so do we want to pre-wet this or not? Oh, I didn't. Did I? I guess I will, now that I've started it. Let's add a little water in here. And mind you, you could tell that's dirty water too, very dirty water, but also my brush is probably a little bit dirty. So for something to look like it's metal or like it's something that's shiny, you've got to have a certain degree of contrast, and there's just not enough contrast there. When we darken this, I'm hoping this will work. It's not like I normally do these, so I'm sort of flying by the seat of my pants here. Last time I heard someone use that expression, they made a real mess of something. So I'm going to soften these edges a little bit. That might look a little more metallic. I don't know. Let's see, you could put some kind of shadow here on the inside of the handle and stuff. I'm just really being very careless with the details on this because, like I said, I'm standing because that's what I feel like doing. And I'm not... I don't think it's important. That is, when you do it, you probably want to do a better job of that. So now, it still doesn't look like anything. And you know, in part, it's because this rim here on top, it definitely does not look shiny. So we're gonna work with that. This is not so bad down here. I wiped this brush off. I got water in there and I kind of dotted it there so that I'm just getting it a little bit wet here. Okay, so we're going to let that dry. And then what are we going to do here? I wanted this little thing of roots here to be more interesting. And I'm not necessarily going to try to make... See, there's some little squiggly highlight things there. And that might have been best done with a little bit of masking or something. But what I am going to do is... See, we're using our shadow color here. We can kind of define something about that root. By painting around it. There it is. See it? And maybe I'll soften some edges down here, and maybe I won't. Okay. See, I really like the way these shadows are working in with the rest of it. I'm really liking that part. This up here needs something on it too. I think I'll try a little bit of raw sienna. I didn't pre-wet my raw sienna. I may have trouble getting enough up. Oh, there we go. We just need a little shadow on this. I think that's raw sienna I'm digging into, yeah. So, see, part of my plan here is by using ochre, and now here we got raw sienna. So, by using those, they're duller colors than this. And so, even though this is dark, and so what we're getting is a little bit of a contrast. I don't know if it's going to look that way on film, but the idea is that because this is duller, and then that will feel shinier. Well, that's the idea anyway. Great ideas, sometimes they crash. And then we got a little shadow here on this. I don't know if that even looks like a shadow. I think I'll soften this edge, pull it down that way, because it's not like that in the picture, but I just like to do those things. It's going to have another little dark dot of an edge there. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this dry, and we'll be back. Now I'm going to layer in some of the Nickel Azo on this, because this looks more like it's terracotta here on the top. Still looks terribly red, doesn't it? Okay, and this little spot right there, I'm going to take some of the same, you know, the really dull green we made, because there's a place for dull things. Dull things make other things look bright. I'm going to put a little shadow right there to say that this ends and that's something else. Well, I'm not sure if that's what it's really saying. That's what I wanted it to say. You know, they don't always listen to you. It's just like your kids. All right. I might be through with those onions. This has got a problem. Okay, I got to dry this. So if I look at this, you see the highlights here? That's a little bit crisper edge. It looks a little, you know, it's beat up, but it's some of those highlights. The edge on some of the highlights are soft, but not all of them are that soft. We've got to have something crisper here. So I'm looking at it. I'm trying to decide how, and I know that. Okay, here's some reddish brown I made. And that's basically, that was our base color, our gold and Quin Burnt Scarlet and a little bit of blue. It made a brown, a real rich brown. And this is dry paper. And by the way, I need a little edge under here. Oh, I think I've just a little juicier there than I wanted to be. And I'm wondering, you know, sometimes you have to mess with something till you see it. Well, I'm not seeing it. Let's make a couple of soft edges. I don't know. Let's not give up yet. This is a little paler on this side. I've got a little more water in the mix. So, we've got reflected light over here too. And then we've got a deeper shadow. I may use the same mix. We've got a deeper shadow right here too. Let's come in a little closer. So, I might soften an edge or two there. Okay, we're getting better. Okay. Better is, well, sometimes better is just better. There, that softened that edge a little bit, and here looks a little more like the right kind of thing. Let's put a little of this. This is that same color, that brown. It's the same combination. It's indigo, Quin Gold, and Quin Burnt Scarlet. It's just different proportions from this one. But it's made with the same three colors, both this and this. Let's go ahead and let's give this a little bit. Because that doesn't even look like it curves. It just looks like it's a flat top on there. I've got to turn it. Actually, you can see it better this way anyway, can't you? I've got to turn it and... Well, it's still not good enough, but it's headed in a better direction. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to get this dry, and we're going to take a sponge to it. Okay, here I am back. I've got to turn this the way that works for my hand, and I'm right-handed. Let's see if a little highlight on that is going to do us any good, because so far it's looking pretty bad. I should have some green in that. That just does not have enough green to go with the rest of the pot. Well, it's a little better. The problem is the lack of precision with a lifting brush. And of course the sponges are even less precise. Ideally, one might have masked a little line up here. That's a little better. It just doesn't go with the rest of the pot yet. Well, let's also take a little of the dark out of here. I've gone a little too far with that. In fact, I think I'll pull a little of that dark up into this, the inside of this lip. Whoops. What I don't want to do is let it get over to where I just lifted, because it's going to try to fill in there. That's a little better. Now, how about these shapes that I've got on here? I'm looking at this and I'm seeing, okay, I guess I got that dry enough. I'm seeing a bit of a highlight right here. When in doubt, do what's in the picture. Okay, let's see what happens here. You really want that to get a bit brighter. I don't know if that quite did it. Well, we'll pull this off and see what. Yeah, it might work. Now, I'm going to do more up here, but I want that reflected light here. Now remember, this reflected light's nowhere near as bright as that. And same thing down here, nowhere near as bright. Just love these sponges. So, I'm only going to pull up a little bit. I might even, you know, you can paint with these sponges. It's a different look. It's not a flowing look. You know, that's almost enough. I'll make a little bit lighter spot right through the middle of this. I've got some blotchy areas there. There's blotchy areas here too, but my blotchy areas don't go with those blotchy areas. Okay, let's pull a little bit across here. And here's where I want to be careful and not overdo it. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day. Okay, dry again. You know, this onion's got a lot more shadow right there, too. I think I'm going to have to do something about that. I was looking at where this color bled over there, and that's when I was realizing that this whole side is way too light. I was really proud of that onion. I was wrong. Here's a little extra dark area right through here. Now, if you're going to do that, you got to do a little more down here too. Oh gee, it just goes on and on, doesn't it? That's the thing, is a lot of the time when I'm right at the end of a painting, I start seeing that I'm not right at the end. So let's just tape some of these areas. I'm sort of acting like that's actually kind of correct, and it's really not, but you know, I just made some edges with my brush, but now I'm sort of going with them. I think I'm going to have to use white ink up there. You know, there are some soft edges. All of this up here is soft edges. Gee. Okay, let's get a fresh piece of sponge. This is going to come up be quite a bit lighter because I never got it really dark. And hopefully that contrast is going to make a big difference. Oh, I think I'm seeing metal. Now pull that tape up gently. When I pull tape up, and if you've heard, some of you have heard this 10, 20 times, I pull it straight back like that, real slowly. It just seems to do less damage. Okay. Now, the only problem is that that's not enough of that, but that's great. I just got too dark to start out with, or maybe I'm better off lifting anyway. You know, almost seems like some things are just brighter when they're lifted. Uh, and I heard a professional say that once. It doesn't mean that it's factual, but it feels that way sometimes. Okay. This area over here, part of the problem is it's just too red. I'm going to try to pull up a little more of that color, and then I'm going to drop a little bit of Nickel Azo in there. I'm not guaranteeing that it's going to work, but I think there's a chance. That might be better. That part looks good. Okay. The thing in general, not too well done. That part right there is pretty nice. And the onions are okay. Now, this onion would be even happier if it had just a little bit more. Whoa, oh, maybe not that much more. Okay. Had a little more of the green shadow. Or you could use the brown shadow. Again, when I used the raw sienna, I used it because it's one of those quiet, more opaque, quiet, dull colors that looks more natural, and it's also not going to steal the show from the pot. Right there. I'm actually starting to paint instead of demonstrate, and this might go on too long. I need to do these fast so they'll load. Okay, that's not too bad. Let's put a little white ink up there, because I really, you can see how you should do it. I just got sloppy with it. I treated that as an afterthought, and I shouldn't have. Hold on. I just had to find the white ink. I'm trying using it with a long round here. So it's not going to work in a way because it's not going to go with that color down there. I could come back and tint it later if I wanted to. Well, I've got it fairly thick, which I want it to be thick, but it's a little bit hard to spread. And there should be a highlight over here too. I think it'll mess it up if I put some down here. Oh well. Yeah, messed it up. Once you get this stuff down, it can be dulling and it's never going to be the same again. So, up there's kind of working. What I could do is get that on a little thicker, and then I can come back and drop a little bit of Nickel Azo on top of it. See, this is the kind of thing you should do sitting down. Oh, Oh, that was the other thing. So I was going to tell you, you want to really focus on detail. And that's not just if you want to focus on detail, but also if you're going to paint detail. So you're working smaller, finer things. I'm trying to get the right amount of water on this brush so I could get that off of there. It's not doing too well. So if you want to get yourself painting the detail, sit down, and it helps if you have a low ceiling, if you're in a room with a low ceiling. Well, I hate low ceilings. My ceiling's pretty low right here, but the thing that was suggested was if you're in an area where you need to focus better and you want the effect on your eyes of having a low ceiling, put on one of those caps that's got a bill on it and wear that while you're painting, and that'll pull your focus down. You see I'm putting a little shadow under that lip over there. Oh, that's a relief. That looks better. Yeah, that's better. Okay, I don't know if it's dry enough, but I'm going to try to tint that white with a little bit of Nicolazo. Oh, it worked. I'll be darned. And remember, this white is still water soluble and could run, but if you just real gentle, because you don't want it smudged on stuff, it just goes dull. All right. So that was some kind of example. Oh, wait a minute. Let's take a little bit more of that. What do you call it stuff? Raw sienna. Let's just, since I've got this brush in my hand, you know, the brushes talk to you. They give you ideas. And this one is saying to me, so while you got me here, why don't you have a little bit of fun and I love tiny bits of little squigglies or some kind of special detail in a painting. It kind of, I don't know, it has a real strong effect. Okay, so these handles are botched and a lot of it's not well done. But you can see how you could do it. And if you put a cap with a bill on, I'm sure it'll turn out better than this. So, and you can see I started some background here. It doesn't mean I have to leave it like that, but, you know, I pulled a little something out. I really like, there's a lot about the onions that I like. They're not wonderful, but there's a lot about them that I like. I really love this area in here. I love the colors. This is just a trashy job of doing that up there. But you get the idea. That could be a little better. I love the shadow area down in here. And that was 3 different layers of color. I love just working with it and pulling a little down with one color and then another, pulling some more down. So I like the way those shadows look. I like this little area right there and up in there. That's pretty good. So, it's not altogether a bad thing. Needs a little more of an edge there. I wish I could stop this. I'm going to make a bit of an edge. And I don't know if it'll make it better or not. The thing is, when you get that urge to do something to something, it really helps if you're working on something that's not going to be in a show or you're giving to your grandmother as a present. You know, it helps if it's just something you're messing with, because then you make discoveries and you build some confidence. Because a lot of the time, those ideas turn out. Trust your instincts. I mean, they're not always going to be right, but this is how you develop them. So, just pulling in a little bit more edge right there. Let's see what that did to it. Yeah, I believe that's a little bit better. So, okay. Now,